A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, I, Neha Arora Chawla, on behalf of Geeta Ratan International Business School, welcome you all to EFDP on Fundamentals of Artificial Intelligence and its role in education. Geeta Ratan International Business School was established in the year 2004. It is affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi, and is approved by All India Council for Technical Education, Ministry of HRD, Government of India for technical courses, and Bar Council of India for law courses. The institute is accredited as Category A by NAC and assessed as Category A plus by State Fee Regulatory Committee, a fee committee of Government of NCT of Delhi, and rated highest grading A by Joint Inspection Committee of Government of NCT of Delhi and GGS IP University. The institute has been rated grade A by Academic Audit Cell of GGS IP University consecutively for past 5 years. Gibbs has also been rated number 2 by Times B School Survey 2018 and 19. The institute conducts postgraduate courses of MBA, MBA IB, MCA integrated and undergraduate courses of BBA, BBA LLB and BA LLB. This program is organized in association with ICT Academy. ICT is an initiative of Government of India in collaboration with the state government and industries. Artificial intelligence technology brings a lot of benefits to various fields, including education, and is going to impact the way education is provided. Today's FDP is organized to fulfill the following objectives. Firstly, to enhance efficiency of education system. Secondly, to reduce the barriers to access learning, to automate management processes, and to optimize methods to improve learning outcomes. Lastly, but not the least, it will also help in learning and student development and access e-educators' performance using advanced technologies. Now, I feel immense honor in inviting our guest for the day, Dr. Pranjal Kumar Phakan. Sir is a BTech with MBA by qualification and is an accomplished nationally and internationally acclaimed supply chain professional with over 23 years of experience in supply chain management and operations management with leading companies in India. Sir is instrumental in the implementation of numerous projects related to supply chain domain across multifarious industries with an impressive track record of driving high value and prestigious supply chain projects in automotive, telecommunication, engineering, and petrochemical sectors. Dr. Pranjal always ensures the viability of multi-million dollar supply chain and operations management portfolio in long term. His fascination with literary word comes with his relentless contribution to leading international and national journals, with publication of more than 45 case papers on operations and supply chain management for business, professionals, and management students, and with more than 40 industry related articles in magazines of repute such as Chemical Today, Hydrocarbon Processing, Offshore World, to name a few. Dr. Pranjal also contributed to the development of policies for online MBA content for reputed universities in Assam and motivated establishment of incubation centers in all the affiliated colleges of Assam under the aegis of Assam College Principal Council. Sir also has notable contribution towards entrepreneurship development, motivating youths towards sustainable business and supporting ideation projects for funding and market availability for entrepreneurs. He is the core member as resource person to Kaziranga University, Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Guwahati and Gwalior Incubation Center. Dr. Pranjal is also contributing towards entrepreneurship as the Honorary Director of Strategy, International Council of Technology, Management and Applied Engineering. Sir is indirectly involved in establishing new institutions in Assam and wholeheartedly supported on techno-commercial grounds to the institutions like Build Startup, NGO named Seva and Prayas. Sir is the recipient of number of national and international award, honors and recognition. We are very fortunate to have you here, sir. You are most welcome. Now, without taking much of your time, I would like to request sir to commence with the session.
Yeah. A very good afternoon and happy Teachers' Day to all of you. Today topic is very specific and very relevant also because artificial intelligence, as you know, is back-end algorithm to program machines so that machines can evaluate human reactions or human perceptions, human views, everything. Means we need to have a separate intelligence systems which is called artificial intelligence so that we can augment our thinking process uh, for producing more relevant and effective outcomes based on all sectors, not only education. In all sectors AI is very much relevant. Specifically speaking on AI for education, we must be surprised to know that about 75% of the uh, teachers world globally then believe that our hard copies or hardbound books will be replaced by digital notes in very soon in coming years. It means the trend of online teaching, the trend of doing online research, working from home, social distancing will prevail for a long time because situation demands as such. And to counter this, I think the AI is the most effective tool which every education institutions, universities should adopt. And our new education policy also put much more emphasis on the use of AI in educations so that we can have global standards in our education systems and we should not be left behind. So education trend which is happening in 2020 and which will be carried forward in coming years are basically augmented uh, reality. Like we'll be focusing more augmented reality concept tools based on AI for education because it will make the education more interesting. Because this through AR, students can take their own time to understand the concepts which are complex in nature, and mostly this AI is specifically designed for making this whole education system very interesting. So it is also called as interest-based learning. And mostly you must be knowing that due to this work from home and social distancing, social and emotional quotient is very much important. So learning will be also based on social and emotional quotient learning. So now I would like to present my presentation. Yeah, ma'am, can I have the presentation, please?
Yes, sir, sure.
So this is a presentation which is uh, broadly is on fundamentals of artificial intelligence, and subject which is being selected by me is technology enabled online teaching and e-resources, because I'm not just focusing on AI, what is AI, how it will be working, where it will be working. Instead, I thought so I should give some relevant examples how this technology enabled means any advanced technology, but mostly primarily this advanced technology now works on AI enabled tools like I must say robotics, machine learning, then you can say deep learning, AR, augmented reality, then cloud computing. So all these are basically in a package which can be called as AI-enabled tools. Before that, I'd like to show how means I'm affiliated to all these uh, educational organizations like GLG Hong Kong, what is Dreamcatcher in Indore, then you can say International Journal for Research and Applied Science. Then I'm also Director Strategy of International Council of Technology Management and Applied Engineering. I'm also mentor for IIE Guwahati, and I'm also global mentor for Indian International Supply Chain Education Alliance (SC Next India), and also with CSR and Sustainability Institute headquartered at US, but one I'm associated with Mumbai. Now, AI in education, just for your understanding, so few slides I put for AI. As I told you, what is AI? It is basically the backend algorithm to make machines evaluate human beings. So AI in educations, this blue part says that educators globally sees AI as instrumental to their institution competitiveness. So see, now education institutions cannot be taken as differently. It is also a sector, which is also a sector where which employs human beings, which uses other resources, and most important thing, it is the only sector which produces resources for the future of the country, of the nation. So they are directly connected with the grooming, skilling, and developing human resource, which is very very important for any country to develop and grow. So the AI is very much instrumental in their institution competitiveness, yet most institutions still lack a formal data strategy. So it is not specific to India, it is specific to global, that our education institutions, global education institutions are still looking forward for some formal data strategy. So they're lacking in strategy to adopt AI in full form. So now with AI in education, as I said, instrumental in competitiveness. So what are the transformations it can bring? It can simplify the administrative task of teachers, faculties. It helps and assists in producing and making smart content of the learning. It imbibes personalized learning for the students and faculties both. Because I'm not just speaking for students. Faculties are need to be upskilled every time in this situation, because if the faculties are not updated or upskilled, it will be difficult for them to guide their students. And new efficiencies enables, which is a study published by eSchool News, indicates that by 2021, the application of AI in education learning will be increased by 47.5%. What are the six broad areas where AI will be in the field of education? One is grading and assessment, which consumes lots of time, and its present situation is very difficult physically for the grading. So the grading systems can be made online with AI very effectively, and contact center operations, connected analytics, SAP payroll processing. SAP I'm said you can use other also like Ariba and all. You can have now most of the universities already started online enrollment, personalized learning. Now you can have your own personalized learning system. Like already we have MOOC and others. I will give one example case study of Delhi University Library System, which they have started much ahead of COVID, and that is basically a very prominent case study for any university or institution in India, how this can be made in such a way that it can be broadly be used by all colleges and affiliated colleges under any university. So, for the 21st century trend, it is actually enabling the delivery of uninterrupted feedback. See, due to this work from home and out of social distancing, it is really very difficult physically to have a uninterrupted feedbacks between teachers and students and parents. So this is enabled. This facilitates with using of AI-enabled tools. We can have a constant monitoring, reviewing the process of learning. And we must be very much clear that we in NEP, New Education Policy, we are using this concept of STEM. We have written STEM, but now it has again modified to STEAM, means science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So we can have a cohesive improvements in STEAM education system as per the NEP also. So AI is very much considerable for these improvements, driving improvements in STEAM education system. As part of the natural language processing NLP, which is also a part of the AI-enabled tools, it helps conversational AI interfaces or chatbots, which is finding a strong case in education. Therefore, it's becoming an incredible enabler. I hope GIBS Noida have already started using these advanced technologies or tools. So you can see, if you properly use this with scientific way, then you'll be having a much better results in changing or developing your system with sophisticated technology. AI in education is two types, like general purpose it can be used for a user asking a question, AI is answering it, or you can have a user input question, it can be short using Swallow NLP. But if you can modify, customize it with some known providers, service providers, then it can ask, if AI asks a question, user answers it and evaluate the results also. And they can use deeper NLP courses where large number of semantic variations can be allowed. So digital technology is already making an evident differences in driving the quality inference of important applications. With AI, education industry can do a lot more, which they can find out with the process, which I'm showing in coming slides. So Microsoft recent studies shows that by 2030, students will need to have mastered two facets of this new world, and they should be know how to utilize ever-changing technologies and understand how to work with other people in the team to problem solving effectively, that to the situation of social distancing and work from home. The World Economic Forum estimates by 2021 a large number of companies will have adopted technologies such as ML. Therefore, it is strongly and therefore it encourages strongly by the government and education to focus on raising the education skills of your students, focusing on STAM and cognitive, non-cognitive skills, so that your students are job ready for the market as per the industry perspective. And most importantly, as a mentor with II Guwahati, Gwalior Incubation Center, and 4 incubation centers AI enabled in Assam. So this is also important for the entrepreneurs to get themselves job means market ready for starting their business. So educational applications, which is already there in the system, if it is being AI enabled, it will harness the power to improve learning of all students of all ages. I'm not saying all the university students or college students, but students from nursery onwards. So Thinkster Maths, these are actually some 5 applications. Sorry, the service providers. I've selected who provides this complete package of service of AI in education. One is Thinkster Maths, which is a tutoring app. One is Brainly. It is a platform where student can ask homework questions and receive automatic answers. One is Content Technologies INC. It is an AI company which uses deep learning. Math IAU is similar to Thinkster Maths. This is a Carnegie learning system which offers AI-based tutoring tools. And one is LaTeX Learning, which allows faculties or teachers to design and integrate a curriculum which is compatible with digital platform and devices. Now coming to the important point, now AI is complete. So now I'm coming to those things which you can think of to making your education systems of institutions more relevant and specific to these situations so that our students should not be left behind. So what are the electronic resources and how it is important? So electronic resources are regarded as the mines of information which is preserved through modern information communication technology devices which are defined, designed, and more often stored in cyberspace, which I told you cloud computing, which is the part of AI enabled tools. So these are important because the rapid rise of electronic databases happening here and there and modern e-book technology system is changing the whole scenario of information to education and research. So therefore, the user's attitude to information education is shifting from the printed documents, which I said 75% of the teachers globally are of the opinion that all these printed documents will be converted to electronic documents very soon. So you must have to be prepared for this so that you have the details, availability, and organization of e-resources like online journals, database. There are many online journals and database which I will showing in slides, very specific to government, maintained by the government of India. So infographics, just I have put one. What if school are closed? The things to consider, and what when school are closed, things to consider with parents. So these are some of the things like distance, social distancing. There is no interaction between teachers and students, no interaction between their peers, friends. So in this very grave situation, students have to learn, grow. Faculties have also to learn, grow. They both are required to be upskilled. So these are some of the thing considerations when we face schools, colleges closed. Now the electronic resource part, the most important thing that it includes online database, like which are sourced from web pages, e-journals, electronic personal papers, email messages, news group postings, newsletters, government publications, and all these things, digital library. So these are the resources which is available, which are based on modern ICT devices. So that what are the types of electronic resources? There may be many types, but these are very specific and general. Like you can find different type of electronic sources from electronic conferences, web-based educational tutorials, electronic journals, electronic preprints, softwares, technical reports, thesis and dissertations, database, data sets, collections, data digital collections, maybe in the form of image, audio, video, equipments, product catalogs. So these are some of the typical electronic resources which are identified and available for reference. So different electronic resources identified are similarly continuing with that are scientific data sets, virtual libraries, electronic books, PDAs, pocket PCs, electronic dictionaries, encyclopedias, thesauri and subject headings, handbooks, maps, many things are there. But I've also given some advisory note in coming slides how a librarian of an institute should be very careful in selecting the resources, verifying the details so that it is not said that all informations available electronically are dated and correct. There may be some false documents may be there, false documents may be there. Now details of electronic resources, just what I've said, I just put out some details like what are electronic conferences. So these are basically electronic forums where electronic user groups, listserv, and discussion groups are going on, which may be important resources for any researchers, scholars in any discipline. So new research scholars in particular get an opportunity to discover what topics are getting discussed in the field nowadays and to learn who are involved in discussion. Like I'm discussing with you, this is basically electronic conference. So this can be, if recorded and kept, it can be used or maybe taken as a reference for others to think what I said and also to add on to it if I left something or if I have given some information which is maybe not relevant or it is relevant. That way, actually, things can be made for their own contributions also. Web-based educational tutorials, these are highly interactive because as I said, these are based on AR, augmented reality. So there's lots of flexibility, self-spacing is there. These online courses are in the forefront of technological media and instructional innovations, which are very much defined and designed to provide a CBT to users, computer-based training. Journals is a very much important part of any institutions to grow their knowledge base. See, earlier it was, presently also, these are mostly the printed forms. But as I said, these are converting to electronic. So this has to be taken into consideration for defining into magazines, e-magazines, website, newsletters, so that and it can also access from different technologies like one I have given, go for FTP, Telnet, listserv. So here also you'll find lots of electronic journals. My note of caution is you should be verifying all those informations which you are downloading or using in the website, whether these are being vetted, whether these are reliable or these are authenticated or not. Now softwares. Some of the softwares like these are basically having general public license, so you don't have to worry about the copyrights and all these things. So something like you have GNU downloads are there.com, free software directory is there, free homeware is there, shareware is there. So these are the software you can use as per the availability on the internet and they have the freedom to run, copy, distribute, study, change, improve the software under GPL. Otherwise, some software requires the copyright and licensing are very specific to particular purpose. So you should not actually try those unless and until you are required. But electronic thesis and dissertations are many are there, which are processed using software packages like MS Word, LaTeX, WordPerfect, WordPro. And some of the important sites which are just noted here is Network Digital Library of Thesis and Dissertations, Academic Dissertation Publishers, Thesis and Dissertations, UMI Digital Dissertations. So here you can go register yourself. You'll find lots of theses which are being published by the universities, authenticated by the reputed universities. So based on that, you can have your research methodology and the literature review for the researchers and also for the faculties to make their thesis subject for their research purpose. And there are some digital collections also, like NASA's multimedia library gallery is there. Great building collections for civil engineers can be used. Nine planets. So that's how just for the examples. You'll find a lot of this in the form of text, image, sound, movies, for your reference, for the students, for the faculties both. Then PDS and Pocket PCs. As per Microsoft, Pocket PC. What is Pocket PC basically? It is a handheld device that enables users to store and retrieve emails, contacts, appointment, tasks, play, multimedia file, games, exchange with window live messengers. So this is the Pocket PC. And another one is for the personal digital assistant, which is maybe which you know is a form of computer or any tab and all these things which are generally being used by us. So ebook on the waves are there, and we was surprised to know that it was first started in 1992 by digitizing public domain text by Project Gutenberg. So new kinds of business are now emerging very fast. So three major companies that have recently emerged the market are Prestia, eBrary, and Net Library. So ebooks are also available on the website. You can go to any of the search engine and find, but again, note of caution: be very specific and choosy because all informations available on net are not confirmed or vetted. They may be forged also. And meta resource is also part of electronic resource, which is invariably called subject gateways, subject-based information gateways, subject-based gateways, subject index gateways, virtual libraries, clearinghouse, all these things. So they are basically having portals, hotels, and hotels. So portal, hotel is a portal website that provide information and resource for a particular industry sector, it may be education sector also, because it's education sector is also an industry sector. And hotel or horizontal portals are interesting group or community specific portals that provides a business to consumers, e-commerce website, and allows large number of community-based consumers to transact. So there are three things here: there portal, hotels, and hotels. Now, using the advantage of electronic resources, which are mostly and primarily built on AI-enabled tools, because you cannot leave artificial intelligence everywhere, because this is the best tool which is which is being created for creating for programming these machines. What machines? Your output machines like your what I said, Pocket PC, PDAs, laptops, computers, to provide, and also those machines which are being used to process this printed into electronic form for easy access, high speed linkages. E-resources are published electronically and cost is very less. An innovative way of presenting research results, which is really problematic earlier also in printed forms, and now it is really impossible because of this contactless servitizations. Run an university through contactless servitization is a big nightmare for any university or institutions, but AI-enabled tools have helped the institutions, as I told, administratively for the educational purpose, for monitoring, for grading, and everything, and one-to-one contacts, regular contacts, and monitoring of students, teachers, and parents can happen that is online through this AI-enabled tools. But there is some disadvantage also, like infrastructure requires displaying, storing printed electronic resources, This is really expensive because you have to have servers. Cloud computing also, if you use a cloud computing, then you must use those cloud storages, which are hacker proof. And when you say the hacker proof, the softwares provided by those service providers, cloud service providers, is somehow expensive as normal, but you have to go with it because there is no other way. So, because instead of keeping your own server, you can use cloud servers. I am going to present one presentation on 9th of November regarding cloud computing strategies for Asia Pacific region 2021, which is being conducted by BrightTalk UK. So there I will be discussing very specifically how the cloud computing, cloud services, public cloud, private clouds is gaining prominence nowadays, because without this you are really it will be difficult for any industry sector or business sector to maintain and continue with these AI enabled tools, because having your own server, physical server, is really costly. And electronic interfaces are taking long time to master, because, as I said, many of the institutions, industry sectors are looking forward for some strategy how to use AI in their system. So that way, the electronic interface is also taking time. Academic community can be divided into haves and have not, because access to equipment and networks. Some may say I don't have the access, some may say I have the access. They have a network problem, network connection may be slow. So these things are somehow cropping up. So it will crop up maybe during 5G spectrum case also. So these are some of the disadvantages, but still we have to go with it. Now, this I have said. Now you must be very much knowing that some selected academic institutions in India are providing e-resources under the scheme called National E-Content and Curriculum Initiative to stimulate the creation, adaptation, and utilization of open education resources by the institutions. So UGC, National Association of Software and Services Companies, and many other advocacy, advisory, and policy making bodies in India support the cause. So one is Sodh Ganga. So you know about this Sodh Ganga. It is a reservoir of Indian thesis provided by Indian OER, which has been categorized which is having audio, visual, and textual OERs. So one is Sodh Ganga. Another one is Vidya Nidhi, which is the website address is given that it's a digital library and e-scholarship portal. One is e-Gyan course of IGNO. So this is also very good website for this for OER, open education resources for faculty and students both, which is having audio, visual, and textual. One is Sakshat, a one-stop education portal. One is National Science Digital Library, NSDL of National Institute of Science, Communication, and Information Resources, NISCAR. So it is also a government website. Apart from that, there is NAPTEL, National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning, and there is Consortium for Education and Communications. That project OSCAR is there. IGNO I have already told, and one NCERT is there, online textbooks of NCERT. So these are also few OERs which are very authentic. You can go there, you can find out all the resources which is required for you, because these are maintained by governments. Obviously, this is in line with this syllabus and courseware as defined and designed by UGC, AICT, or whosoever the controlling bodies. This is the point where I like to request the librarians to take care of those who are in charge of these things like downloading, uploading of electronic resources for the students and faculties. So these are some of the caution note given in red, that authenticity of the information published need to be established. Author of the published information may not be an authority. Information on internet may be outdated. Reliability of information may not be established. And information need to be presented for viewing audience, so that it needs to establish relevance. So before downloading, you should take care of all these points, so that the information which you have going to have for your students and faculty as a repository should not deviate from your purpose. The evaluation of usage is an assessment of the resource according to following criteria. So this criteria should be keep in mind, has to be kept in mind in your university institutions before managing the e-resources. First is content. Scientific and technology accuracy is required because you are going to pass it to your students and faculties for their further studies and research. The type of content, curriculum. Second is design. It has to be readable, texture, conformation to OPO, design standards, treatment of science traits, clarity, whether they have used the appropriate technology or not, colors. Then comes pedagogical approach. What is the educational goal of your institutions? Adherence to educational standard. You have to adhere to educational standard, the accuracy, appropriateness, grade level, clarification. So all these things and usability. Whether it can be used, resources can be used for training purpose, network performance purpose, computer performance, because it depends on the system which you have established in your institutions. So nothing extra cost has to be made before assessing that whatever resources you need to download or upload for your educational purpose. But there are some equipment also for the faculties, like and for students also, for faculties for imparting and students for receiving the teaching online in the institutions. Like they can use smartphones, camcorders is required, webcam has to be there, and yes, there should be software for compressing your video files so that your students and faculties can be very comfortably uh, do their activities. As I told, some may say I don't have network, some may say I have the network. So compressing your video files and making it lighter, more interactive. For this also many service providers are there. Otherwise, you can also have an in-house development team. But these are some of the equipments which is mandatorily required. For editing post-production, you can have some of the software, for example, Windows Movie Maker, Software, Filmora. Now I thought, being on a Teachers' Day, I thought I should also give some tips of to the faculties how to teach online effectively. First of all, you have to prepare your environment because students, as per their, as I said, in augmented reality, and they are not in touch with your institutions or with the faculties, so their interest should be developed. The environment has to be developed so that automatically they comes into a connection and they keep on learning with you. So first you have to keep your environment. You have to have good equipments. You have to set some norms also, like allow students to leave, at least left out, students to leave their webcam on the entire time and not to mute themselves. So these are the norms you have to make. Like you cannot switch off your webcam. You cannot unmute. You cannot mute your speakers at all the time because I must know whether you are there or not. And students should be allowed to share the screens also about the faculties. It is not like faculty showing the screen, presenting students. What student is doing, we don't know. It should be two-way communications. Then faculty should practice interacting online. In the situation, they have should be trained by some trainers the how to practice interacting online. They should always record lectures, keep videos short, and use existing resources so that it should be relevant to the courses. Then you have to ensure resources are open educational resources. You should provide interactive activities like learning management systems such as Moodle, Edmodo, Blackbox. You should set some, you can say, reasonable expectations. You can use some softwares for auto checking to measure attendance. You can use group communications very carefully. Let students take control sometime for your coursework. It becomes more interesting, interactive. And most important, teachers should not hide their feelings and they should repeat that teaching style. Means the teaching style which I am maintaining should be maintained for the whole program, for the whole coursework. You should not change your teaching style every time. Now, use of e-resources by students and faculties are increasing, and impact will be the students will be feeling more ease now through using online resources other than CD-ROM databases, because CD-ROM databases are less user-friendly, which we were using earlier also, and they have less intuitive interface. So students used to prefer web or emails, and university also might investigate, or institutions might investigate how to move towards a web-based interfacing for the event systems. So use of resources also impacting in printing, is impacting on staffing because you have to have some additional staff member now as a training as part of training role, and trading process has to be very frequent. Opening hours, weekend opening hours has to be increased, and number of machines like computers, printers, scanners will be increasing now. This is the case study which I was speaking about how Delhi University library system has. The website also is there. You can go and check out. They are comprising of 34 libraries in sport, and this is holding around 14.5 lakhs of documents for 1477 current periodicals, more than 5 lakh bound volumes of periodicals, this much of ROMs, CD-ROMs, and all these things. But 20,000 MPhil and PhD dissertations and theses are being kept. So these they are using not for their for the community, so that a heterogeneous user community can be developed, which can include undergraduate, postgraduate researchers, scientists, and faculty members. So what they have done actually, this is actually done very earlier to Prabhu, and they have planned and regularly conducting various resources activities under ILP, Information like Literacy Program, which I think is a similar step which GIBS Noida has taken. I think they have already taken today. Today whatever session is happening is based on ILP only, Information Literacy Program. I'm sharing with you so that how it can affect use and effect of resources in teaching and learning process. Then the literacy of the resource literacy is also very important aspect, because it is the ability to understand the use of IT-based tools. See, everyone, every faculty members, every student should be well aware of using how to use the IT-based tools. So this is also very important. And the main objective of this innovative information learning literacy program is to acquaint the users with the academic power of internet, and there's no other chance. We have to go for it. We have to provide an indication as what is there on net related to area of study, how web resources could be immense use, how to show the usefulness of various multimedia resources, to promote the use of subscribed database, and also to have various databases being subscribed by DULS and Easy Informate Digital Library Capture. So this is basic method and theme based on which I prepared these slides also on all these parameters. So this helps basically both way to gain the information on what are available on the net and how it can be used more effectively. So they are also having some e-resource orientation for the faculty members. Workshops are being made on e-resource and bibliographical citations for social sciences scholars, which is supported by NASDOC, the Indian Council of Social Science. So where the participants are being explained the database of the subject related areas, some online practical demonstrations are also being made. So these things your institution can also do so that it can give a very good impact on the student and faculty communication system, so they can have more effective learning process. Finally, the conclusion is the e-resource available in different formats, help and support. It is very much clear. It is also, but what is available in the net is varies in quality, accessibility, and price. So you should be very careful, and you should be very specific to it. So you should be knowing what are the advantage and disadvantage of these resources. So librarian has to, they should be capable enough to identify and balance the factors. And among faculty members, registered students, other professionals, higher use of e-journals accompanied by decrease in visit to physical library. So most reading will come from a relatively small percentage of epilepsy. So with this, actually, I just tried to make to understand that there is no other way out. We have to be electronic now, online now. So best tools and services are available. Only thing is that how institution is planning to be in line with the global requirements. And most important thing, when I'm speaking on the subject of NLP, AI, I also want to speak on neuro-linguistic programming for psychometric tests. This is also now coming very fast with these online resources and online studies and online system, because students, being they are staying in the work, they are staying at home and social distancing, so they are also facing some, you can say, people questions. The different stuff there, depression is going. So we can also adopt some NLP-based psychometric test time to time for the faculties and students both, so that we can assess what is their attitude, how they are, whether they are growing or degrading, what are the gap areas where you can have more specific training, upskilling system online. So this is also part of the AI NLP. So I would suggest institutions should take care of this, because in my incubation centers, which I'm doing for these three, four incubation centers, mostly on agri and telecom and engineering. So what I'm doing with the incubators is, before any participants is joining the incubation centers, we first go for a NLP-based psychometric test as a co-assessment test, based on which we come to know about the competency and passion and his level of understanding, so that when he's getting admitted to this incubation center as an incubator, so we know to whom, how we have to interact with the particular incubator based on his results, or based on NLP psychometric test, his weak areas. So that way we have a very specific learning process, very specific to his requirements, not as a general case where everyone is being treated in the same parameter. So mostly people fail in education also, and in business also, job also, because if he's competent with some other areas, but we are trying to make him to some other areas, so which is not competent enough, or he has no passion, no interest. So that is very scientifically designed. So I must say, this thing very much required. If GIBS need this, we can have a discussion on this, like how to take this for NLP psychometric test for the students who are registering for PhD or research work as a research scholar, or the students who are planning for going to the entrepreneurship or ideation process, or students which you feel they can excel in some areas of your domain, like MBA, engineering, commerce, law, any domain it can be used, or also can be used for for faculties also, while procuring for administration purpose, which faculty member is more should be placed in which position, because he is competent for that, not based on his qualification and experience, but we can have a very inner and beautiful and scientifically designed tool which can immediately give the results that this person is competent and passionate about this. He's not, though he's intelligent, but he's not competent for this particular area. That can be, you can define it and you can keep it secret also. It is not required to disclose to the member who has been tested, but it can be used as a reference purpose for filing in your records, and that way you will be harnessing, you will be in a position to harness their potentials much better, and you can be having your resources, human resources, utilized in a more effective way. So with this, I'm closing this, and I hope I'm able to cover the primary areas, so that you can have a think on it, you can have a discussion on it. And regarding NLP psychometric, if you need, we can discuss with me separately. I have we are having a team of three people. One is a psychologist, one is a mathematician, and myself. And we have devised, and this will be tested also and successfully. So if interested, we can just discuss on this separately. With this, again, I'm thank you for having your patience in hearing. And if you have any questions, any suggestions, I'm free to take the call.
Yes, sir. So we have few questions here. Uh,
Yeah.
Sir, I can tell you. Dr. Vimal Vibhu has asked, can AI be used to auto detect the cheating and any other wrong practices with the online examination?
Yes, yes, that I've said. No, it is have a automatic attendance checking system. So it have also an automatic tempering check system. Very much, very beautiful tool, which have the augmented reality. That is called AR. So it automatically detects if anyone is tampering. Suppose I'm sitting, I'm not the candidate. Candidate is someone, but I'm sitting in his place. So system can detect immediately that candidate is being tampered.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is by Umesh Kumar Gupta. He asked how artificial intelligence role is fair in online. Like, how is it able to do justice to the online examination in different places?
AI, yes, yes, because see, the artificial intelligence is what? It is its definition is very simple. It is basically a algorithm, okay, which is to program the specific machines you are going to use. Okay, so these machines are being programmed based on the algorithm and which is taking care of all the human perception. So whatever the problem you are facing or you are thinking of, this has been already been taken care and it is universal. Means suppose I'm holding examination in multiple locations, the patterns and formats will remain the same. There will be no changes. So if it is tampering my main campus, if it is detecting any tampering in my main campus, it can also detect any tampering in my means other campuses or other branches simultaneously.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you for that, sir. And next question is by Kalpana Maheshwari. She asks, is the use of e-resources and use of artificial intelligence the same thing?
No, I have just clubbed it because I thought the occasion is very good as a Teacher's Day. See, just if I say about AI, then what you will say, I'm not AI an expert. I have lots of service providers who will give me AI. So what is specific to AI? I am not here to make you understand what is artificial intelligence, who has developed it, why it is there. It is not required. I must. That's why the electronic resources I speak out because the electronic resources is the need of the hour. Yes, most of the electronic resources are AI enabled.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Then next question is by Meena Kumari, ma'am. She asks how AI can be used in examination and evaluation system at what accuracy can we use it?
100% accuracy. Grading system is a part of the AI-enabled online psychometric test which you are doing earlier also for the GRE, GMAT, isn't it? But they were done, though they are done in separate location, but it is connected to cloud, which already been there in GRE, GMAT exam, isn't it? So same thing now it is getting universal. So grading system, your online content development system, testing system is part of the packages which are specific made for education sector.
Okay, sir. So thank you for answering that. Uh, Next question is by Dr. Kamal Jyoti. Uh, the question is, will artificial intelligence replace library buildings? That is, no physical buildings will be present in the near future?
See, nothing, no one is going to replace no one. When computers came to the world first time, people said that all people will losing job, they have no requirement of offices. Do you know Industry 4.0 says about dark factory? Means is a factory where there will be no human beings. But we need those buildings. The books will be required, printed books will be required. Only thing is like we having a separate repository of electronic resources. Okay, so because we cannot change the habit of people, many people like me also they like to read books physically, printed books. So that will be there. That business will be there. Only thing is like it is just a supporting system because the people now cannot access physical libraries time to time because of the situations. So that has to be there somewhere in the electronic also, so that you are not hampering the learning process. It is not going to replace anything. It is just augmenting or
Yes.
enhancing the learning process. Nothing else.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So next question is, sir, this is just the information that they need. Ravleen Kaur ma'am has asked, can you please come up with the name again for the course and domain that you were talking about?
Means link.
Yes, so the course name and the domain name related to artificial intelligence and those resources that you were talking about. So she just wants you to repeat those names.
Also, means repeating those. I mean, she asked me to repeat the names.
I think they should be there in their presentation. Maybe we can access it and tell them.
Okay, that you can share with her, because see, these are some of the examples. So there are thousands and lakhs of resources are there. It is really difficult, because just to make a point, I told them, told everyone that these are available. You can have a search on this. Examples are like this.
Okay, right, sir. Thank you, sir. Then I think we have already answered this question. How can AI help to organize fruitful exam? So this question has been put up by Deepanvita Bose. So we have answered it. And then next is, can AI help in running machines? This question has been put up by Dr. Arun Kumar.
Yes, AI is learning machines.
So it helps in
AI is learning machines to machine learning. Machine learning.
So it will help in running machines.
See, what AI is doing, actually, I must tell you, AI is learning machines to think like human beings and live an experience. So if AI is there, ML has to be there. When ML is there, then cloud computing has to be there. When ML is there, robotics has to be there.
So they are all
interlinked. So your handheld device, like your mobile phone. Your mobile phone is basically a machine which is being learned by AI, so that it understands you in voice message. Like you say, the voice message also, no? How the person responds. So it has been learned by AI-enabled tools, so they understand what the person is saying, what he is demanding, what is asking.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So next question is by Prabir Sinha. He says the DOLS system, the library system, can only be accessed through their own LAN. So I suppose is the case of the university library system. So is it possible to allow access through your own broadband system at home without misuse of the system? Because we can access the library by visiting that center only.
No. See, DULS is an example I'm giving, so that how this Delhi University has held 34 to 36 colleges affiliated under him to be with one particular library, which is difficult to manage in a physical form. Okay. Now, suppose if you want, like MIT, IIT, what they are doing? They are integrating all IITs, but it is open for all. So it means they are managing this library in a cloud.
Nice.
Public cloud, isn't it? So now this public cloud has to be hacker-proof, and nothing else. Security firewalls has to be there. It acts basically like a physical cloud. Physical server, but it is maintained by some other parties, and it is reliable also. No hacker can enter, but it can be accessed to any network. In no LAN WAN concept is required.
So like even sitting at
like we are.
So sir, even
yes, you can. Like we are accessing Google.
Okay. So like it will be right. Okay, sir. Okay, so next question. So next question is by Deepanvita ma'am again. How can we teachers get trained in these AI applications so that we can use it in classroom and day-to-day teaching?
That I've said in the slide. Now, what that called information literacy workshop has to be held by all the institutions. Like this is, you can say this one as a information literacy program. I did. So here I told what are the benefits, but so separately trainers will be there. We can train faculties also, like how to use, how to make them informative about the AI-enabled tools and how to use them, how to make the contents and all.
Okay, sir. And one question by Palak Gupta. She asked how AI is helping students in enhancing academic exposure. So how it is going to give them that much of exposure through AI mode?
They are, yeah, through AI mode, actually, they are getting much more exposures through, because all AI tools are augmented reality based, isn't it? They are interest based. So students are finding more interesting with these tools rather than going to classes and for physical classrooms. And secondly, they are now having more access, more informations than earlier. So this is a very serious thing for the faculties also, that if faculties are not imparting information or knowledge on updated basis, then students might not come to his class, because he's getting much more informed information from other professors of other universities through this AI enabled platforms. So there's a serious thing which faculties should understand.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And one more question is by Dr. Arun Kumar. He asked, is AI is helpful in production system? Does it help in that?
Production system means industry.
Yes, sir. He means to say that only, I
In
guess.
industry already we are AI enabled. We are all enabled in industry. We are all enabled. Industry 4.0 readiness is 100% AI enabled. What I said, dark factory, it is totally run by the machines only. No human being required to run a machine, run a factory industry.
Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, sir. One more question, last question by Ravleen Kaur. She asked, from where can we get the AI related data for research work?
Just type in Google, you will find a lot of things. But a notion, but care should be taken. All information, as I said in the slide, are not vetted. They may be forced, outdated. So be careful. Take the data only from the reputed, as I told, no, the Sodh Ganga. You find all the informations. These AI enabled tools. So you can get all informations from Sodh Ganga, from NAPTEL, IGNO, and other many like foreign universities, reputed universities, IITs. So information can be there from the sites, because the most important thing, the reliability of the information has to be taken care of. Otherwise, it is available everywhere nowadays. No problem. Only thing you have to select you have to use and what you have not to use. So if you're not selective and taking all information, it will be a confusion for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. These were the questions that we were there in the chat box. So I have asked almost all of them, and there were a few repeated questions, so they are also covered. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session and updating us with all those various e-learning platforms and teaching tips. So we are really thankful to you. And just
Thank
to
you.
reiterate, this EFDP was organized by IQAC Geetharathan International Business School. We are also grateful to ICT Academy for their collaboration and organizing such an insightful EFDP on artificial intelligence. Thank you so much, sir. And an information for the participants, we will be, as sir has approved it, so we will be sharing the content, the e-resource with you, and also we will be sharing a feedback link and also a link to fill the information related to you, so that that can be updated in the certification process, and we will shortly be giving all those e-certificates to you. So thank you for your patience and for staying connected with us. Thank you so much, everyone. So we sign off for the day. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.